Hello, everybody. It's well, look at you time. It's still Saturday, the 7th of May. And after our live stream, which was a really good one today, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great to get so much input on the beginner stuff, but also to get feedback on what we're doing. Very productive day. I'm glad we did it. This should be a good day. Live stream went well. I got a lot done, and I invented a new machine and two machines. I got my new insect pins, so it should have been a bumper day. But I have been irritated all day long, and it started with the pins. You know that I am a huge fan of Enter Crisis pins. I've always loved their pins, and all of a sudden the price has doubled. So I wanted to share with you something. If you use black enamel insect pins like I do, and I go through hundreds of them, I buy zeros, zero zeros, and zero zero zeros, and I buy them 3 or 4 packs at a time. That's about 300 in each of these little bottles of each. So I buy a lot of them, and I've always bought them from Enter Crisis, because the yellow packet, because I always thought they were very high quality. Well, I ended up buying from another company, and I want to share the company's name with you, because while everybody else is charging double-digit dollars per 100 of these pins, Benz Microscope, that's not BENS apostrophe S as in Benz, it's Benz as in Mercedes-Benz Microscope Company. I think that's what they're called. Benz Microscope Optics Center, Amazon Marketplace. I ordered a bunch of pins. They all arrived. They all cost about $6 a packet, and I ordered a bunch of them. So I just want to recognize Benz Microscope Optics Company for keeping the price on these things reasonable. And I suggest if you're looking for insect pins, that would be a place to go. I've never even talked to these people. I don't know who they are. They even wrote thank you on the receipt, which I thought was nice. Let me tell you about my invention. I have a very specific need for something. I need to be able to photograph something small without moving it. I need to photograph it from all angles. So I need to move the subject, but I can't move it in space away from where it is. So all I can do is change the part that I'm looking at. So obviously, what I need to do is rotate the specimen around 1, 2, or more axes. So what I was trying to do was make a thing that looks like a gyroscope, only it doesn't spin. It also looks like the thing that holds a globe. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And it seemed to be working pretty well, but I didn't have a way of knowing whether it was, and I didn't want to start shooting until I was absolutely sure. So that's what this is. It turns out that it doesn't work as well as I thought it would. So I'm not showing it to you. I'll show that to you another time. This is what I'm going to show to you. This is my goniometer testing platform. It's all it is a couple of little 3-watt lasers that are mounted on little heat sinks with some batteries, and they're bolted into pieces of aluminum extrusion that are bolted to a big, thick acrylic base. And what I did was I lined it up so that the center of my rotation table, which is in there, this is just a lab lifter to demonstrate, the dead center of it, where the screw hole is right in the axis of that toothpick. So I put my insect on my pin in the spot that is going to be the center of mass, and then I rotate it and see if the lights leave. because right now they're intersecting on the toothpick. So we've got one light coming from over here and the other one coming from over here. And one of them must, no, they're both still, they're both still aligned on the toothpick. So it worked really well. As soon, if you ever need to do that, if you ever need to photograph something from different sides, and you want to make sure that it doesn't wander around in your field of view, because if the pin's bent, it'll make a big circle, and you don't want that. You want it to turn in place. This is a great way to do it. Before I do this on the rotation table, and then when I take it into the new studio, I've got a little grid down on the mat that I fit the rotating table into, so that I know that it also will be aligned exactly where I want it. So once I fix it in here, I don't do anything when I go in there except start shooting. So you ought to make one if you want. The lasers cost about $1 a piece on Amazon. That's it. Batteries and battery holders that I tore out of old things. Not the batteries, the holders. And everything else is scrap. The acrylic, which is a big heavy sheet of acrylic, is from an old TV. Not an old plasma TV or whatever uses these LED. Oh, for crying out loud. It came out of a television set and it's great. Nice, big, solid, hefty chunk of plastic. And that's it. I'm going to unplug them before I accidentally shine one of these right onto my sensor and into your eyeballs. We're supposed to be looking at photographs. Why are you distracting me to talk about these other matters? The reason I said something about this was when I came in here to record this, that was where I'm supposed to be. So I thought, well, I'll show it to you. It's providential. So while let me just make sure nothing's going to fly out of here. And I'm going to boot up the computer and start looking at these pictures. Now, of course, I've looked at them to make sure there wasn't anything going to be a nasty surprise. There are a couple of nasty surprises, but everybody who enters into this is invited to do so. And you're also invited to give me some words if you want some words for your pictures. The words don't have to have anything to do with the pictures, or they can be all about the pictures. They can be about you or your chihuahua, or can be about your neighbor, whatever you want to write about. And I may paraphrase some of the writing. If I don't understand it or anything, I'll make that clear too. But mostly it's about looking at the pictures. Now, recognize that everybody who does this is at a different stage in their development as a photographer. And this is not about the photographs. That's what I want to really emphasize. It's about the photographer. I want you to see their best work, because that's what I asked for people to do. Send me one or more pictures that you're really proud of, that you really like. So I think this way we can get to know a little bit about the people and about their art. And I think that's something of value. Now, most of these are bug pictures, but I have a feeling that may change when other people like Alison start sending in slime molds. By the way, there's no limit to this. If you want to send me a picture every couple of weeks, I'll probably do this every month or two, depending on the interest. But yeah, you can send pictures whenever you want. It's not a competition. It's not a talent show or anything like that. It's just, here, look at these pictures. Aren't they cool? Yeah, look at you. Isn't that something? All right, so here I'm going to start with Al, just because, he was the first one on my list. Al, who was at the live stream today, is a Canadian gentleman. And this first photograph is a snap of the Hoodoos, which is near Drumheller in Alberta, which I believe is one of the states in Canada, right? No? Okay. Anyway, It's one of his favorite places to go. And he light painted these hoodoos with the sheet lightning firing off in the sky, which doesn't sound safe. The area is now fenced off since a couple of drunk yokels thought it would be funny to tear them down. Oh dear. Well, this isn't helping my mood at all. Luckily, a passerby phoned the cops, who busted them before any real damage was done. This is also in the area where they filmed Ghostbusters Afterlife. Well, that's probably why they were trying to tear them down, I would guess. If they saw that movie, they probably got extenuating circumstances to call on. As far as photography, Al got his first camera with 2 box tops from Candy cigarettes and 2 bits when he was 5. Good grief. That's when I got my first electron microscope. You're a late starter, Al. Anyway, it took 620 film, if I remember correctly. He was a photojournalist and a news photographer for over 20 years and a freelancer for another decade. He's now a graphic designer. The end, says Al. Al just sent the 1 picture this time, but I am going to encourage him to send more. This is an absolutely gorgeous photograph. How did they try to pull those things over with a truck? They're mountains. Are these not very big? Again, in no particular order. Here's Alan Lyle. Alan sent me some words and 5 photographs. And I'm going to show you the 5 photographs in the order that I like them the most. I can do that even though it's not a competition because I'm not in judging mode. And in fact, these are not going to be in that order because I really can't do that. They're all very good. The first photograph is a stink bug, a top view, a close-up taken with a mirrorless Nikon Z6, Nikon bellows, and a MITI 5 objective. It doesn't say anything about the tube lens, Raynox probably, or ITL. No, I believe you shoot an ITL, don't you, Alan? Anyway, lovely stink bug as they go. I've never been fond of the things, but I do like the green metallic stink. That's what they are, the stink glands, and the red eyes. Very nice. That's great detail on the compound eyes. That must have been a decent sized bug. Very nice. Very well done. I like the almost white background too. It works. The next one is a portrait of a wasp. Alan said he was really enjoying the new videos on the Patreon channel. Great. I'm glad. I'm really glad. And hopefully he'll be able to attend the upcoming Saturday live stream. Well, you did, didn't you? Is this like time travel for you to hear me say this before and after you did it? Don't worry about it. He's 73 years old. You didn't have to say that. You could have just left it blank and nobody would have known. But now everybody knows. Everybody knows. You've been in photography for 45 years. Not to rub it in or anything, but since you were 28 years old, you've been doing photography. All right, since retiring at age blank, I'm not going to give the ages of everything that you did if it's over 70, because that's fair. You've been devoting more time to your hobby and passion for nature of photography and video. Last year, you constructed a macro cage. Excellent. And you're working on your super macro photography. Most of what I have learned is, well, nice words. Currently using a Nikon Z6, along with various macro lenses and a stack shot rail. That's the way to go. I originally used continuous lighting, but found lighting intensity to be too low with those early LED panels. I've just never liked LED panels for video. They're great, but I don't like them for lighting. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you'll get a reflection of all the LED lights? It's very off-putting. Beetles do that. Anyway, switch to Godox flash units. Worked fine. Yeah, he says he misses the easy setup of continuous lighting. I do too. That was one thing I enjoyed about it, and not feeling like there was that pressure to be sure that my flashes didn't run out of juice halfway through. Yeah, it's another thing that put me in a bad mood today, by the way, the whole Godox MF12 thing. Still no word. Anyway, using a mix of high intensity LED panels and Godox MF12 flashes and Adaptalux macro lighting arms. You're not doing them at the same time though, are you? I wouldn't do that, but then again, your pictures speak for themselves. This is the next one, by the way. It's a great spangled fritillary butterfly, an eye close-up. Say that 10 times fast and sober. Lovely picture. It's nice. There's just when you're photographing individual hairs, these aren't actually hairs. They're modified scales. But when you're photographing these, you can't help but get halo around them because it's photographing the out of focus ones behind it, and there's just really no way to prevent it. So just accepting it and making it part of the picture is the way to go, and that's exactly what you've done. It looks like fine fibers deeper into the coat of the butterfly. It works, it really does. The next one is my second favorite, and it could well easily have been my first. It's the same fritillary as it escapes from the studio. This is a classic photograph. I love this. This is well done. It does not look composited. Obviously it is composited, but it really doesn't look it. It looks like a miraculously lucky shot of a live flying butterfly. That's even how they fly, with their legs down like that. I hope that this actually wasn't shot at 1/8 millionth of a second and it's actually a live butterfly. It would be embarrassing, but I love the way you've got the blue sky and the cloud showing through its wings. Nicely done, tastefully done. It's a great photograph. I love that. I'd hang that on the wall. It reminds me a little bit of paintings by Escher. No, not Escher, Magritte. That was shot with the Nikkor Z105mm macro lens that I was talking about today in the live stream. Very nice. Oh, and it was a composite because you say it was composited in Photoshop. Very good. I should read your notes earlier. Alrighty, where are we? Last one. This is the one that I love. This is one of my favorite photographs of the year. This is beautiful. This is a tomato hawk moth caterpillar shot with a D500 Nikon 105 f2.8 macro. That is a beautiful photograph of a beautiful caterpillar, and even a beautiful tomato plant. That is spectacular. The pose, with it eating like that, you've just got all the details and just the perfect angle. Great shot. Absolute cracker. That wouldn't surprise me to see that on a National Geographic spread. That's how good that is. Lovely picture. Bravo. And Alan hopes everybody enjoys seeing these images as much as he did creating them, and I have a feeling that the rest of everybody did. I know I did. Excellent. Fantastic. Well done, Alan. Thanks very much for your contribution. Look at this picture. You know what that is? I went out the other day right after a heavy rain, and I was shocked to see this. It's a seagull. See it? They normally don't fly in the rain. Anyway, I don't know what all that artifact is across the sky. Weird looking. Next up, we have Gilles Benoit from Canada, who was kind enough to send me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or so photographs, including one of his setup, which I'm going to show you first because it's a pretty interesting looking arrangement. It looks to me like there's a Nisi rail on the bottom, a nice set of bellows. I see a Novaflex adapter in there somewhere. Yep, a Nikon, some Godox here and there, different kinds of flashes, and an MF12 up above. Nice setup. Probably the most interesting thing about this setup is it appears that you're doing it on a router table. Isn't that dangerous for your fingers? I love this photograph. My goodness, I love this photograph. When I look at this, I'm reminded of the clown weevils that I found a couple of years ago near here. The ones with the multicolored, faceted scales. This is even more striking than that. I wish we had these down here. I've never seen one of these. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful shot. I also love this. This is a gypsy moth, and it is beautifully done. Again, just like we saw earlier, using the unavoidable artifact you get from focus stacking hairy things gives this the impression of this moth creeping out of a cave or something. It's very effective. It's a very good shot. And I can tell that the creature isn't in the best of shape. I mean, it's presumably this was a found specimen, but still, it looks great. And you've got the antennae front and center, which is what makes these moths so amazing. Great photograph. I love it. This ugly little beetle thing, I don't know if I'm the only person who finds these extremely unattractive, but they show up several times in today's program. But yeah, these little beetles, somebody will have to refresh my memory what they're called. You find them in the garden. They're just tiny little things, but they're just flat hideous. Yeah, looks like they, well, enough said about that. There we go. Old Stinky's back again. So we've got another stink bug. That is a different take on the stink bug. I don't think I've seen one that close in from the front, and it actually adds something to it. I long ago stopped trying to photograph these things to make them look good. They don't look pretty or scary or anything. They just look stinky. But this is better than I usually get away with. I like this because it's a kind of Rick Littlefield style of photograph. It's documentary classic of a tick's mouth parts. It shows all the detail. You can really learn a lot about how a tick's mouth works, but boy, it's gross. It is just nasty. I hate ticks. This is an interesting one. This is a wasp, but I don't know what kind of wasp it is. That in and of itself doesn't mean anything. I mean, I am not an entomologist, but I don't recognize it. I don't recognize it at all. Maybe somebody else does. So Gilles did leave me a note, of course. He said, yes, I could go ahead and use his pictures because I saw them and wanted to use them. He is an old, his word, not mine, professional photographer, figuratively and factually, apparently. He worked as a press photographer from the mid-70s to the early 90s. Fashion and commercial photography as well. Always fascinated with macro. Since retirement several years ago, concentrate on extreme macro and micro photography. Very interesting. And since discovering YouTube videos, elevating your game. Glad to help. Glad to help. Uses a D750 and a Canon bellows fitted with an Amscope 4X plan objective. Okay. That's one of my setups too. I like it. That Amscope 4X objective is pretty incredible. For larger subjects, you use the Nikkor 105 with either a Raynox or extension tubes as needed. And most important, you do this all no rail, manual stacking and Helicon focus. That's impressive then. That rather changes the game in especially that weevil shot, hand stacked, manual stacked. That's impressive. Let me see, who is next? Jeff Scory. Jeff Scory sent me about 5 or 6 pictures, and the first one, of course, is another one of these four-eyed beetles that gosh, I still can't remember the name of it, but it's just as ugly from the side as it is from the front, but nice picture. Oh, you've only been doing this for a year. That's right. I remember reading that. You're from Wixom, which is in Michigan. Did you know that? It's near Detroit. If you wonder what that big city is over there. You're a software developer, 40 years of doing it. You probably know your stuff then. You should by then. You have hobby ADHD. It's because it's contagious. You catch it from YouTube. That's what I have too. I have every kind of ADHD, but yeah, definitely the hobby kind. You switch hobbies every year or two, find something new to study to death, buy tons of books, experiment away, and some of these stick around longer than others. Well, woodworking, electronics, check. Photography, check. Board games, I haven't got into that one yet. You need other people, and I just avoid people. Do you play board games by yourself? That would be weird if you did. Kite building, never done that either. Always loved nature, fascinated in insects, aren't we all? Tried handheld pictures in the past using a zoom lens with limited success. I hear you. Thank you. You purchased a stereo microscope. This gets really interesting, guys. Listen to this. Jeff purchased a stereo microscope from Parco, which is one of those companies that rebrands Amscopes, I think. And that's what Jeff says. Looks like a rebranded Amscope. But it came with a 28 megapixel camera. And that is what he's been using to take his pictures. So these pictures are not taken with a photography camera. They're taken with a microscope camera. Jeff has actually sent us a picture of his setup. Let's have a look at it. So very nice. I see now what you've done. You've got the and you're actually photographing through the Parco. Yeah, I don't see a camera setup. Well, that's impressive. What are you using the lab bench supply for, I wonder? I have that same thing. It took me forever to figure out how to use it because it's a constant current device, I think. Very, very nice. I've got to ask, though, what is the silver ball? What is that? The purpose of that? That looks like an evil thing to have in front of a camera. I do like the microscope body that you've got. I really want to get one of those. I haven't been able to find one. Very nice. That's a great setup, and if that's how you're taking pictures, it's working. Let's look at some of the other pictures. One of my favorite beetles. You've done a great job with that. I remember the first time I photographed one of those. What a mess that was. Now, this is a photograph I don't quite understand. This looks like your cat coughed up a fur ball that had a locust in it. I don't know what it is. It's a worrying photograph. I'm not sure what to say about it. That's more like it. That's up my alley. That's a long-legged fly, Condylostoma, something or other. We have lots of those down here, and they are absolutely beautiful flies. They're very territorial. You can just set up your camera focused on a leaf, and if there's a long-legged fly, he'll disappear and he'll come back again, and they're very tolerant of people. That's one of my favorite ambush bugs. You must live down in this neck of the wood, Jeff. Oh no, you already said you live in Michigan. Is that near here? I think it is. I think it's just the other side of Florida. You say that you consider yourself an advanced beginner or a beginning intermediate. And you go on to mention that you have a role in Discord and that I can change it if I feel that it needs to be changed. Well, I would never presume to change your assessment of your photography, ever, for anybody. I mean, you are what you say you are. I don't know where you started, and I don't know where you're finishing. So it's not up to me to decide that. I'm going to respect what you decide. I only went with those names, those roles in Discord so that if somebody was looking for help, they would be able to find somebody with the appropriate level of experience. Was really the reason I went with them at all. But it certainly was not to cause anybody any anxiety. And when it comes to me having an opinion about where somebody should be, I don't, and I'm not going to, and I would never presume to do that. That's not what photography is for me. This is not a competition. I mean, the whole thing is not a competition. It's a pleasure. So you be what you are, and we'll leave your role completely alone. Kevin McGuinness is one of the first people to respond to my request, and Kevin's got some really, really beautiful photographs here. I am super impressed. While you're looking at this fantastic shot of an assassin bug nymph lunching on an earwig, I'm going to read you what he says. Kevin lives in the city of Hickory, which is in North Carolina. My dining room table came from Hickory, North Carolina. You spent time in Biloxi, Pascagoula, Bayou La Batre. I was talking about Bayou La Batre to somebody today. I used to come down to Bayou La Batre to study marine biology. Let me see. You've been serious about photography for only 2 years. That's gonna be important when we get to your pictures. You started shooting anything you saw and quickly discovered macro was your favorite. Yeah, as all rational people do. I mean, why wouldn't it be? You currently use a Lumix G85. I don't know the camera, but I shot my first Lumix last weekend and I loved it. It was a really nice feeling camera, great controls, nice. You got a D5600 for your birthday last year. Good for you. In August. Well, then you know it's going to be in August again this year, right? Every year. Okay, just checking. Some people don't know that. I thought it was a coincidence, but no, it's a real thing. You did send me a description of this DIY macro lens that you made. I've forgotten all about that. Forgive me. It's it's a Micro Four Thirds to Canon adapter and a 36mm extension tube, a Sears brand 135 prime lens, and a Marumi +3 diopter lens. Yeah, I remember this. I was going to try to build something like this, but I couldn't even find any of these parts. The Marumi, I wrote to Marumi and asked them if I could try a couple of their diopters, because you're not the only one that uses them, and they get really good reviews. But they didn't send me one, so yeah, I haven't tried it yet. But let me see. You've since swapped the 135 to a Canon 100 on a 50mm extension tube and a Marumi +5 diopter. Images are a tad sharper and colors are better. Well, I would say so. Wait till you see these pictures. Here's your next photograph. Is a lovely coral mushroom. Very, very nice. I like the shade and the light. Very soft and even. Very well done. Groucho, this jumping spider of a species that I don't recognize, is interesting because I don't recognize it. At first I thought it was a Phidippus, but I can't be sure. It's a lovely shot of an orb weaver doing the crazy figure writing thing it does when it makes webs. I like that. I really do. It's very nice. But the winner for me of all of your pictures that you sent in, Kevin, was this beautiful cuckoo wasp. That is just a beautiful study. The way you've set it up, with the higgledy-piggledy straws going in different directions, and this guy just creeping out. Beautiful colors, sharp as a tack. It's a very, very nice composition. Well, keep up the good work and keep inventing new lenses because they work. This is a fascinating photograph that was sent in by Mike Santella, who's a semi-serious hobbyist photographer, but a research scientist and engineer. He's been doing a fair amount of macro photography, but he's learning, as do we all, that you don't ever know as much about this as you think you do. You like to stay active, and one of your current volunteer jobs involves working with an entomologist studying biodiversity in the Smoky Mountains. When he discovered that you had some of the same interests with photography, he asked you to photograph some of his specimens. And I remember you telling me about this. And this is another cuckoo wasp. This one not in as good a circumstance as the one before, unfortunately. The image was a focus stack, 307 images, 20 micron steps, stack shot Helicon focus. The camera lens was an R5 with an MPE 65. Very good. Exposure was 1 second at f4.5 ISO 100. The original magnification is about 2.8. If I understand rightly, you have no wiggle room at all about mounting. You have to photograph these as they are mounted. At first, when I saw it, I thought that's not a photographic pinning. That's an entomology pinning. A beautiful photograph considering the constraints that you're under. It's very well done. These are just stunning specimens. They really are. And you did a great job of capturing that. Thanks, Mike. Keep it up. Send me more of these pictures. I'd love to see what other interesting stuff he's got that you can work your magic with. Paul Bullock sent me 5 pictures. This is another one of our favorite green flower scarab. And also Paul sent a lovely looking pollen crusted long-legged fly, Condylostoma. Let me see, we've got some writing here. As a Patreon member, I'm responding to your request for photos. By the way, I really appreciate what you're doing. And well, good. I'm glad, and these pictures are evidence thereof. You're a retired plant geneticist and spent many hours looking through a Zeiss Axia. Well, I bet you did. But your interest was not directed at the scope. No, it was probably directed at the chromosomes. Anyway, you've attached a variety of images that illustrate different macro methodologies. Good. And you've got some captions. So this is the close-up of the blue flower. It's shot with a reversed Nikon enlarger lens on a PB6 bellows. My very favorite combination right there. I think that is close to the sharpest setup that I have. And you shot it on the D850 with diffused LED lighting, focus stacked in Helicon. Well, that's the only thing that is a disastrous failure. Very saturated look. The next one is the insect headshot. That's the long-legged fly. That was shot with an Amscope 4X objective on PB6 bellows, another one of my setups and one of my favorites, on the D850 with LED lighting, focus stacked in Helicon, and then flower petals on white LED light table. Interesting. Oh, very nice. Very unique. Very abstract. I like it. And this was shot with the 105, if I remember rightly. Let me see. Yeah, the 105 macro lens. The background altered from white to purple and shot with the D850. Okay, the beetle, the first one we looked at, was shot with a 50-year-old Nikon 50mm lens reversed on some extension tubes, LED lighting, and focus stacked in Helicon. And the last one, ground cherry husks. Okay, this is a beautiful photograph, but those cherry husks don't look ground, they look intact. Or do you mean they grow on the ground, or you found them on the ground? Or is that just their whole name, ground cherry husk? I don't know. They're beautiful. This looks like something I once ate out of a bowl of potpourri when I was at a party when I was young. Not very young, I mean a young surgeon. I wondered why they had snacks in the toilet. I only ate 4 of them though. I was starving. So I like these. This is a great study. You know, this reminds me of the work of Michael Matthews, who's one of my students who I didn't get any of his pictures in this time, but I'm going to, and you'll recognize your work as being the same aesthetic that he strives for. These are beautiful. Very nice picture. Congratulations, Paul. The last It's a single photograph. Ruud van Patten sent me this, and it's a lovely abstract bird's feather, study of a wet bird's feather, and it's really beautiful. I love it. It's very very cleverly done. So I got a note from Ruud. My name is Ruud van Putten, nickname RP Graphics or RPG Graphics. You live in the Netherlands. Very good to know. Some of my best friends live in the Netherlands. You've been photographing for many years now, and you have recollection of holding your mother's camera long before that. Don't we all? You were born in 1958, which is and actually the best year for anybody to be born in. It's been scientifically proven that people who are born in 1958 tend to be geniuses, funny, strong, witty, handsome. Yeah, congratulations on being born in the same year as me. Good for you. Your main subjects are found in nature, flora, fungi. You're using the 25mm 2.5 to 5x that we were talking about in the live stream. You'd like to step towards the microscope objectives, but it's long term. I don't blame you. Take your time. There's no hurry. The only reason we hurried last year was because we had those incredible sale Mitutoyos. You had to buy one of them. You're building a macro cage. Good. I think having the cage will help you tremendously in learning the lighting. If you don't have a cage, you never think to put the lights up here, which is really where they belong. It's where the sun would be. It's good. You'll like it, and it'll help. And that is your first macro shot that you sent me. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. This was taken in the field with a manual macro rail on a tripod. Okay, I'm really impressed. Yeah, that is a beautiful photograph. Until last year, you had your own website, but maintaining it was not so easy, so you neglected it. Yes, that's what I do with my website too, because it's not so easy to find the time to do it. You're right. So now you're active on Instagram, though not on a regular basis. Well, being active means you're on a regular basis. That's what I discovered. I go over there twice a year and drop 1,000 photographs, but that's not apparently the right way to do it. You show your work at your camera club, which is good. It's always good to show your work to other people and get their feedback. And your camera club's the oldest nature photography club in the Netherlands. Well, that's interesting. I spoke to the oldest photography club in the UK this year, gave a talk for them. Oh, you've got a website? Okay, it's in Dutch, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. This word that you have for your website is about 20 letters long, and it has too many vowels in it. You say nice things about my channel and that you're happy to be part of the Patreon community. I'm glad you are part of the Patreon community. This is actually turning into a very special group, and I'm very happy that everybody's a part of it. And yeah, you will learn from the other members, not only in this group, but also on Discord. It's a great place to compare notes. So that is it. Thank you so much, Ruud, Paul, Mike, Gilles, Kevin, Jeff, Al, and Alan. Thank you so much for sending in your pictures. You didn't know what this was going to be about, so you took a bit of a chance doing it, and I appreciate that. So as you can see, this isn't an image review thing. This is not a critique. This is more just, well, look what I did, and I like that. I really do like looking at the work you've done. So if you're on the fence, if you've never sent a photograph in to anybody, do so. I'd love to see it. I really would. It's a treat for me. And I get to do this, and I'll show it to everybody else. I feel like I know these guys a lot better now after having looked at their photography. If this is something you want to do again, please let me know, and we will do it when I get another full batch of photographs. In fact, that will probably be the best message right there. If I don't get any more photographs, I know that you guys don't want to do this anymore. I will make an effort to streamline it next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being supporters of what I'm doing. I really appreciate your help. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Great pictures. Well done.